How do you get Sacramento to come around there? I mean, I've said before that at a federal level, we need almost like line item veto so we can at least hold somebody responsible, so we can actually say, look, you let that go right by. You could have stopped that. With pork, it's so well hidden. It's an art. In this state, you got to stop the runaway pensions and the redundancy in labor in this state. Now, I know it's as a CEO at Hewlett Packard, you could do it, but you got unions. How are you going to stop unions?
Well, you know, it's interesting. Whoever the governor is going to need a partner in Washington, D.C., because the truth is the work of the U.S. Senate has a huge impact on the state of California. In fact, it impacts every family and every business in this state. And if you doubt that, think about what the health care bill has just done to California. The health care bill just handed California yet another $3 billion worth of unfunded mandates, which we can't possibly afford and we can't possibly pay for. There are a whole set of things that the federal government isn't doing. And Barbara Boxer, who's worried about whether we call her senator or ma'am, refuses to step forward and turn the water on, refuses to step forward and do anything that will help the people of California.
Take care of our highways. She keeps talking about the coaster, and that's great if you happen to work where the coaster goes, and obviously most people don't.
Well, you know, Barbara Boxer has said that our biggest national security threats, one of our biggest national security threats is global warming. I'm sorry, the people of California disagree with her. The people of California are pretty smart, have a lot of common sense. They're sick of big and ineffective government. They're sick of higher taxes. Those are all going up under Barbara Boxer. And back to your original question, I think Tom Campbell's wrong on the issues. He believes the way to close the California budget deficit is to increase the gas tax by 32 cents a gallon. I think that's a job killer. I think the problem is bigger government. The problem is higher taxes. The problem is out of touch, out of control professional politicians like Barbara Boxer. We need to take our government back. We need to make it work for us.
All right. So obviously, you would be. Let's go jump ahead 8 months from now. You're the U.S. Senator from California, and let's say Meg Whitman becomes the governor. What's the first thing we do? I mean, can we roll back some of these agreements we made with unions in this state? I know as U.S. Senator, you have dual interests, but also, we do. This is our state, and you'd be...
Well, and we need to. And by the way, it's not just a state problem. It's a federal government problem. So, for example, while the unemployment rate in California is 12.5%, we have 8 counties with unemployment rates above 20%. Barack Obama's budget for 2010, which Barbara Boxer enthusiastically voted for, increases federal government employees by 14.5% for each of the next 2 years. If we don't stop that increase and begin to cut the government, we're going to have the same pension and benefit problems at a national level that we have at a state level.
Well, one of the things that this health care, I take this personally. I lost a friend this week to breast cancer.
Sorry. I'm so sorry.
And to look at where we should be with this disease and where we could be. I was also raised by 5 women, the youngest, and it was to see how this and many other diseases, obviously breast cancer is not an orphan disease, but it definitely doesn't get the attention that it should have, in my opinion. I mean, you can talk about pink ribbons all you want, but there's some real research that needs to be done. I worry that we have put ourselves in a situation now where only the squeaky wheel with unions and other interests will get the kind of attention that they deserve.
You know what? As a breast cancer survivor myself, first, I'm so sorry for the loss of your friend. But secondly, it just infuriates me when people who have voted for this health care bill, and Barbara Boxer thought we should have a public option included, look to Canada and the UK as examples. The truth is that breast cancer and prostate cancer are the most common forms of cancer. They are also the most curable forms of cancer. And despite the many issues we still have in this country, as you point out, the cure rates in this country are 30 points higher than the cure rates in the UK and Canada. Why? Because we focus on early prevention. Why? Because we focus on getting people into treatment quickly. And both of those things now are at risk because of this health care bill.
Are you going to, I'm going to ask you this straight out. Are you ready to raise hell? Because that's what you're going to have to do.
Oh, I'm going to, look, I have to tell you, having battled cancer, a sharp-tongued senator with an embarrassing and invisible legislative record doesn't intimidate me a bit. I'm a fighter. I can take a punch. I've taken a few in my life. I can throw a punch. I'm going to run hard. I'm going to run tough. I'm going to make the people of California proud, and I am going to beat Barbara Boxer in November because, frankly, we're all tired of her 28 years.
Well, that's the kind of pluckiness you got to have. I think that, and I mean that, and I say it's funny because I grew up in D.C. My dad was a Capitol Hill cop. I was down there, and I heard stories as a kid, of the congressman who was drunk and hit somebody and gets to walk away. And my mom was in a district attorney's office, so we saw all this as a kid growing up. I heard this my whole life. And here it is, all these years later, and nothing's changed.
Well, you know what? Ronald Reagan used to talk about the Washington buddy system. The Washington buddy system, which benefits the insiders, it benefits the professional politicians at the expense of taxpayers. And here we are, and we see the consequences of the Washington buddy system. But
well,
you know what? Ronald Reagan also talked about a time for choosing. This is a time for choosing. And people are choosing, including myself, but not limited to myself. People are choosing all over this state to get involved. We're having a big rally, a Had Enough Tax Day rally at Tuna Harbor at 10 a.m. Would love for people to come down. You can get details on our website, carlyforcalifornia.com. People have had enough. And so it's time we step forward now and actually defeat Barbara Boxer.
Well, yeah, you're welcome here anytime, Carly. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having me.
And we got your website up at KOGO.com so people can check it out. All right, Carly for California is the website.com, carlyforcalifornia.com.